Hi, I'm Ardy Kassakhian. Welcome to Glendale City Hall. So when I woke up this morning, I think my first thought was, who's kicking me? And that's because my son, Armin, likes to jump in our bed first thing in the morning to wake us up. But my second thoughts are usually to read the news, have a cup of coffee, and then start checking and answering emails, wondering what new exciting thing is going to happen in Glendale today. Glendale is one of the most exciting places to live in, to work in, and you can see just by around here what wonderful things we have here in the city. If I had to tell folks what I think would make Glendale a better place, I would tell them to get off their cell phones, to get out from behind the computer screen, to go out and explore and see all the wonderful things that we have here. Explore the restaurants, go to a new place, walk into a store that you haven't walked into before, and just get to know your neighbors, talk to people, start talking to the person in front of you in line, smile at someone, ask them how their day is going. I think that when we do that, when we build those relationships, we bring the entire city closer together. So before being elected to City Council, I was the elected City Clerk of Glendale. I ran in 2005. I was elected when I was 27 years old. One of the reasons why I ran was because even though there were a lot of Armenian Americans in Glendale, not many were active or voting in elections. We had about 70,000 Armenians in Glendale at the time, but less than 1,000 would vote in city elections. So I felt that as the city that serves its taxpayers, it serves this community, there was a responsibility to make sure that people knew when to vote, where to vote, how to vote, educating people about the process of how to be engaged in government. And too often when Armenians come, and most immigrant communities, doesn't matter if you're Latino, if you're Asian American, if you come from a country where the country that you're leaving isn't one that has a functioning political structure, you come to America and you don't necessarily engage in the political structure here. So I wanted to make sure that people knew how government works here, that it's here to serve them. Having been born and grown up in the United States, I believe that we have a great democratic system of governments, but that governance system only works when people are involved. So I can't just tell people to be involved and not be involved myself. I ran for city clerk, an office that runs those elections. I spent 15 years working as the city clerk, running elections in Glendale. But you also sit down and you watch council meetings. So for 15 years, I watched decisions being made and I had to sit there and not say anything and stay quiet because that's what the city clerk does. You're sort of the referee of democracy. And then, one day I came home and I told my wife, we have a young child, and I said, look, this is a city that I love. This is a city I'm passionate about. I can't sit there and watch these decisions being made that impact my life and not say anything about it. And we talked about it, and we made the decision that it was time for me to now take that next step and run for city council. So I truly believe that if we have been given a lot in life, we have to also give back a lot. Glendale is a city that's given a lot to my family. It's given a lot to a lot of people and immigrants who come here and call Glendale home. So I felt it was my responsibility to also give back in terms of service to my city, its residents, its businesses, and that's why I ran for city council, and I'm very proud to be the mayor of Glendale. So I'll answer the question as to what my favorite part of Glendale is in two parts. My favorite part of Glendale is its people. The people, wherever they live, whatever they do, there's a saying I always say, which is adapted from one of our president's State of the Union speeches. I say there's nothing wrong with Glendale that can't be fixed with what's right with Glendale. And what's right with Glendale is all the people who live here and call it their home, who work here, who teach here, who play here, who create things here. Glendale is a truly special and incredible place because of its people. But in terms of places in Glendale, I'll tell you what I really like is the golden hour, right? When sun's about to set and you start coming off the freeway, whether it's the 2 freeway or if you're driving past Griffith Park and you see the mountains and they're kind of covered in that golden sunlight of the evening, and it's pink and purple and all these colors, and it's truly a majestic scene, right? I don't know if that's because as Armenians, we have those mountainous roots, right? You have mountains and hills in Armenia, so maybe that's what drew people to here, that similarities. Maybe it calls to our spirit, but I think that there's nothing more beautiful than those mountains at sunset in Glendale. So that was a great question, but I apologize. Before the next question, I have to make one telephone call, if you don't mind. My son, it has to be picked up from school today, and I have to see if they were able to get him. Let me just give me 1 second. Hi, Hokis. How are you? Oh, I'm good. Got a quick question. Are you going to get Armen from school today, or am I going to pick him up? Okay. All right. And what time is this game at? Oh, wow. Okay. All right. All right. I'll change my schedule around. I'll try to be there by 4:30 because I want to make sure. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Hokis. I love you. All right. Bye. So, elum zangeng. Merong Shengavititsa. Մորս ընտանիքը 47-ին տեղափոխվեց Հունաստանից Հայաստան։ Այնտեղ մի հատ ստադիոնը կա, որտեղ ալաշկերտն է խաղում։ Մենք այդ ստադիոնում գնում ենք ձորը հետևի ցոկոլ հավաքելու։ If there was one thing that I wish people knew about the city of Glendale, I would say it would be that they know how wonderful of a place this is to live. And to work in and to play in. We are a city in Los Angeles County. There's 88 other cities in Los Angeles County. And we are between Pasadena, which has the Rose Parade, and Burbank, which has the airport and all the TV studios, right? But we don't have any of those national kind of attention-grabbing, iconic, whether it's locations or events that happen. So even though we're larger in population and we're the 4th largest city in Los Angeles County, we sometimes get overlooked. And that can be a good thing because Glendale sometimes is a best kept secret in Southern California. But when we're trying to attract businesses here, when we want to have people move here, for their kids to go to school here, sometimes it becomes a challenge, right? So because Glendale has a reputation of being a bedroom community, a place where people sleep, but they go and work in downtown or they go work in Hollywood or elsewhere. So I think that the thing I wish people knew more about Glendale is that Glendale is the whole package, whether it's for work, family life, play, entertainment, we have everything here. Yeah, so small business is the backbone of Glendale. The people that run their stores, that have the creative types, the entrepreneurs, the startups that are coming up through Glendale. This is what makes our city strong economically, gives us hope for the future. I can't think of a better example than Service Titan, a company that's now valued in billions that started by 2 individuals who are local individuals, one of whom is a graduate of our Glendale public schools, had this great idea, went to college, came back, decided to start their business here. And it started as a small business, right? And now it's a large corporation. Similarly, we have a lot of small businesses here that have grown. We have in the Galleria, Masi's Kebab is one of my favorite places that started off as a small kebab shack when most Americans didn't know what chorobats or kebab was, and now it's in malls everywhere and it's building their first standalone restaurant here. We have amazing small businesses like Panda. People don't realize Panda Express. The first Panda Express anywhere was here in Glendale. The first Bob's Big Boy was in Glendale. The first Baskin Robbins ice cream was in Glendale. So in a lot of ways, we're a city of firsts, but each first starts as a small business. So how does Glendale support them? First of all, we try to make the process of opening up a business simpler and easier through our permitting process, which we're right now trying to make more modern, allow for plans to be submitted electronically. Another way we supported our small businesses was during COVID, when a lot of businesses were forced to shut down by county or state orders. We decided to take our tax revenue and pump it back into the local businesses by offering grants. Some businesses that weren't able to qualify for federal money or state money We made sure that the city was able to give them some money. Of course, what we tried to do wasn't necessarily enough because we didn't foresee that the pandemic would last 2 years, but we did a lot, including allowing our restaurants to open outdoor dining areas. And now that's become so popular that we may make some of those areas permanent, the alfresco dining, because it's California, the weather is great year-round and people love to dine outside. So we try to do whatever we can to support our small businesses, our local businesses, because we believe that the small business that's successful in Glendale today could be successful nationally and internationally tomorrow. Մենք լավ, մենք մեզի լավ promote չենք անում, ոչ իբրև հայություն, ոչ իբրև քաղաք։ Տարիներ առաջ Google-ը փորձում էր մի քաղաք որոշի, ով է high fiber կենտրոնը լինելու։ Ես այն ժամանակ push էի անում, որ Glendale-ը դիմի եւ մենք լինենք։ Kansas City-ն վերջը որոշվեց իբրև այդ քաղաքը, բայց ես համոզված էի, որ Glendale-ը արժանի է այդ project-ին, որովհետեւ մենք ունենք ստեղ ոչ միայն Glendale-ը, բայց պետք է նայենք Glendale-ից դուրս ինչ կա, որ մեր ամիջական հարևանն է։ Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which is the center of some of the highest cutting-edge science technology, right? Mars rover-ը hence կառուցվում է այստեղ Glendale-ից դուրս Լաքնիադայում, բայց սաղ աշխատողների մեծամասնությունը հայ գիտնականներ են, հայ մասնագետներ են, right? There's people from other cultures as well, բայց լիքը հայ էլ կա աշխատող։ Caltech, which is in Pasadena, կարող է մեր հարևան քաղաքն է, բայց Caltech-ի աշակերտը կամ դասախոսը նաև ապրում է կամ անում է գնումները բանը Glendale-ում. Occidental College, you have USC, UCLA within 20-minute driving distance. There's a lot of intellectual capital here in Glendale, որ խոր նշանակություն ունի ոչ միայն մեզի փեփ քաղաք, ոչ միայն Լոս Անջելեսի համար, բայց հիմա տեսել ենք վերջին մի քանի տարվա ժամանակ մանավանդ Հայաստանի պատերազմից հետո որքան մարդ ուզում է իրանց պրոֆեսիոնալ փորձառությունը եւ իմացածը փոխանցի եւ տեղափոխի Հայաստանին օգնելու համար. So those are all things that I think that we need to promote more. We need to have more cooperation and we need to do more work. But it's շարունակ աշխատանք է, երբեք չի ավարտում այդ աշխատանքը. So what is my connection to the Armenian community? Well, obviously with a name like Ardy Kassakhian, it's hard to, sorry, 1 second. Yeah. I apologize, I have to answer this. It's my folks. Hi, Mom. I love him. No, I'm doing an interview with US Armenians. Yes, you'll get to see it. All right, thank you. See you, kids. Shut up. Bye. My connection with the Armenian community is the fact that I am Armenian and that I live in a community that I think is the epicenter of Armenian diaspora and activity. I grew up on the East Coast for the early years of my life in a community that didn't have a lot of Armenians. But I was always aware of who I was, where I came from. My parents are very proud of their Armenian heritage and tried to pass that on to their 3 children. When we moved here to Glendale, it was unique and different for me because it was the first time I was living in a community where people could actually pronounce my name correctly. Most people, including Armenians, unfortunately now call me Ardy, but my full name is Ardy Kassakhian. Now, with a name like Ardy, you can't help but understand where that name comes from and what it means to the Armenian people and Armenian history. So I've always carried that proudly with me. And being Armenian, I think, also means that you have to work very hard to not only make your community proud of you, but to make sure that other people who may not know what an Armenian is, who Armenians are, when they meet you, you are an ambassador for not only your family, but for your whole culture and community. So you have an obligation to put your best foot forward, to work harder, to prove to folks that we are a community that has existed and will continue to exist, and in the words of Bar Sevag, hopefully increase in numbers to be able to make up for some of the trauma and tragedy that we've endured, both at the turn of the last century and most recently with what happened when Azerbaijan attacked the sovereign people of Artsakh and Armenia. Actually, there was a program. I was born in the US. I was born in Boston, 84-85-ին, գնացինք Հայաստան ապրելու 2 տարի։ Գնացել ենք մշտական ապրելու, բայց ստացվեց, որ մենակ 2 տարի հետո կառավարությունը ասաց, "Всё, we don't need you anymore. Գնացեք այստեղից. We don't need արտասահմանցի shaking thing." So, but when I went to Hayastan about 3 years ago, I went to that neighborhood, Մանկապարտեզ Glendale, գնացի տեսնեմ որտեղ ենք խաղում երբ փոքր էինք, որտեղ համարները երբ գնում ենք Հայաստան մի քանի շաբաթով, տեսա որ ամեն ինչը նույնն է մնացել։ Ժանգոտված նույն օրոցները, նույն խաղալու տեղերը, so I was like, this is terrible. And we had an idea when I came back where մեր հին խաղալու the playgrounds in the parks, kandենք եւ նվիրենք Հայաստանին, որեն դպրոցները ոչ ունեն միջոցը, որտեղ երբ մենք նորոգում ենք մեր, we replace our playgrounds every 10 years, but their playgrounds have a shelf life of about 15-20 years. So I was thinking, okay, like, I mean, we replace it because it's part of a regular rotation, but it's թողտանք Հայաստան, կարող է օգտագործեն եւ օգտագործելուց բացի կարող են նորոգեն, reverse engineer it, right? It's a playground. How hard could it be? Նայմս պլաստիկից ինչի ոնց է սարքված, put in a 3D printer, վաղը մյուս օրը Հայաստանը կսարքի այդ ամուր playground-ները։ Vlad, ոնց ես? You know, basically, I went to Glendale High School as well, but I had been to Armenia a number of times. 1 second. Thank you. Շնորհակալություն։
Ներկայացրեցի ձեր կողմից այդ commendation-ը։
Այս էլ մյուս ձեռնակի համար։
Սա էլ մյուս ձեռնակի համար է, հայցեցի ձեր համատությունը, ասացի որ կոնֆերանսի։
Thank you, Vlad. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, I'll see you. No, he's awesome. Եվ մեր հայրենակիցները ուզում են հեածանին եւ ջղայնացած մեր վրա գորգորան։ Vlad-ը կարողանում է բոլորին, he's like our Dr. Phil, կարողանում է հանգստացնի եւ բացատրի։ Գիտեք ինչի, որտեվ հետաքրքիր ինչ է, որ մենք Glendale-ում շատ բան լավ ենք անում, չէ՞։ Մաքուր քաղաքը, ապահով քաղաքը, հա, կարող է հանցագործությունը շատացել ավերջես, բայց ամեն տեղ է շատացել, իսկ տոկոսով Glendale-ը դեր ամենաապահով քաղաքներից է։ Դա չեմ ասում, որ մենք փորձենք բարելավել քաղաքը ավելի չաշխատել, բայց ինչն է հետաքրքիր, որ եթե դու արավոտ արտնացար, էլեկտրականությունը միացավ, տաք ջուրը, սարաջուրը հանգիստ կարողացար օգտագործել, ոչ մեկը չի ասում, ինչ հոյակապ քաղաք է, մի հատ գնամ քաղաքապետարան, շնորհակալություն հայտնեմ Վլադին կամ Արտաշեսին եւ ասեմ ինչ հոյակապ գործ են անում, ոչ մեկը։ Բայց եթե պատահի էլեկտրականությունը անջատվեց կամ ջուրը չի աշխատում կամ ասենք թե աղբը չհավաքեցին, անմիջապես հրաձայնը գալիս է եւ բողոքները սկսում են։ Դրա համար անգլերենով ինչպես ասում են, it's a thankless job։ Շատ մարդ չի շնորհակալություն հայտնում եւ դա ոչինչ, մենք չենք անում մեր աշխատանքը, որ անընդհատ մարդիկ մեզի շնորհակալություն հայտնեն։ Բայց հատուկ մեկն է կարևոր աշխատելու այսպիսի միջավայրում, որ հասկանա դա եւ հասկանա, որ մենք ոչ թե քաղաքական գործիչներ ենք, այլ ավելի հանրային ծառաներ ենք, we're public servants. But that's true. No one ever says, "Oh, the city's great." Մի հատ գնամ ասեմ great job. Բայց մի սխալ բան, բայց it affects people because not a lot of people can last that long in your head. Over time, եթե միշտ այդ միջավայրի մեջ ես, սիրտդ կարծրան, a lot of people like they get very affected by this and they can't do it for a very long time. Կամ գնում ես ավելի բան անզգա ուղղությամբ, ասելով որ I don't care, but if գիտեմ իմ գործը ինչա, պետք է համայնքը ինձի համապատասխանվի, կամ you get burned out. There's always differences between generations, and I think right now what we're seeing is the new generation is learning how to share and consume information in different ways. The internet has completely transformed that. So even though the older generation is used to consuming information through platforms like Facebook or has learned how to use Google, and those are still very essential for communication, the newer generation is much more quicker and has an attention span that can only consume information in small portions. That's not to say that they can't do more, but that becomes their primary way of consuming information. So the challenge becomes in how to communicate. You communicate with people from an older generation differently than how you communicate with younger people. And we're seeing platforms like TikTok or Snapchat, which are very quick messages, quick videos, gaining more and more traction. And I think that is important for us to know both in government as well as in public service, because not everyone understands information or consumes information in the same way. There are some people who still even receive newspapers. So we have to be able to do everything well all the time, and that creates its own challenges. I visited Armenia for the first time when I was a child. I went there for the first time with my father. I must have been probably 5 years old. And after that, my family moved there for a few years, and so I've lived in Yerevan. I can tell you that I have great memories of my youth in Hayastan. You know, the just produce, whether it's fruits or vegetables, everything just tastes better, I think, in Armenia. And every Armenian has this connection to their homeland when they see Arad for the first time, or visit Shmiazin or any of the monasteries tucked away in the mountains, or visits the villages. I can go on and on. I do have hopes of visiting again. I visited 4 years ago when I was part of a tech delegation. We took some tech companies along with State Senator Anthony Portantino, and at that time Glendale Mayor's Ardy Kassakhian. And I'm hoping that we can organize another delegation. But after that visit, which was 33 years in between my first visit and my most recent visit, I saw a lot of changes. Some of it good, some of it not so good. I think that there's a lot of great potential in Armenia. There's a lot of changes in Yerevan. There's still a lot of changes that need to happen. But I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about what we can have if we work together, if we can protect Hayastan, if we can protect its people and make sure that it's safe and secure. There's a lot that we can do in that regard. One special thing about the last time we went there, once I went there with the delegation, the following summer we returned with my wife and my son, and we were able to have him baptized at Surpsakis in Yerevan, the very popular, famous church that's been there for over 100 years. And it was special to me because that was the church that my parents got married in when they were college students, when they were younger at Yerevan State University. So it was cool to have our son, their grandson, baptized in the very church that they got married in. You know, as an elected official here in the United States, it's very hard for me to always comment on what's happening in Armenia thousands of miles away, because anything I say isn't something that I have to live with the consequences of my words. But setting that aside for a moment, I think that we can agree that every Armenian wants to live in a country where they feel that their government is concerned with their welfare, with their security. Armenia is facing existential threats. We saw what the governments of Azerbaijan and Turkey are trying to do, which tell me that the same things that happened in 1915 can happen again. So we need to make sure that Armenia is strong, prepared to defend itself. We need to make sure that people here in the diaspora are ready to help Armenia out more than we did during the last war. And I think those are all important messages for not just the officials in Armenia, but for Armenians in the diaspora. I think it's important for everyone to understand that Armenia's survival is the diaspora's survival, and the diaspora's survival is Armenia's survival. The diaspora and Armenia are interconnected. One without the other is unimaginable. And so there needs to be this continuous relationship of people figuring out ways that they can help Armenia. You don't have to always agree with the government, but you can always find ways to help the people in the towns, the villages, and the city. One of the initiatives that some friends started here in the United States was to provide laptop computers to students in the regions of Sunik through an initiative called High Hopes. I've tried to support that as much as I can to teach remote learning, which is something that we started doing during COVID. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's institutions like TUMO. There are other institutions that are trying to teach coding to veterans of the war. All of these things are initiatives that have good intentions and need to be supported and built upon, because we need to make sure that Armenia is strong, capable of defending itself and repelling any type of future attack and invasion like the ones we saw in Artsakh and Hayastan recently. If I had a chance to speak to the president in person, and I've had opportunities to speak to presidents, the first thing I would say is thank you. Thank you for reaffirming America's just and moral position by reaffirming those facts of the Armenian genocide, saying that what happened to my ancestors, to the Armenian people, was a genocide that was perpetrated by Turkey. But I would want to continue the conversation and tell them that the genocide hasn't ended. We saw what happened when Artsakh was attacked by Azeri forces with the support of the Turkish Republic and many other powers of the world who aligned themselves against the survival and existence of the Armenian people. And I think that more work needs to be done. If America is going to hold the moral high ground in the world and say we're a country that believes in people's rights to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, which is what the people of Artsakh want for themselves, then we need to stand with them. We need to help them defend themselves and secure their borders and have independence. That's the message that I would tell the president. And of course, I would tell him that, to come visit Glendale. I think that college is a great place to discover what your interests are. Some folks may already know what they want to do, but for a lot of people, college is that place where you can explore different things and see what appeals to you the most. I started off as a chemistry major at UCLA. Both my parents were chemists. I felt like it was kind of in my blood and it was something that I wanted to do, but very quickly I realized I had a passion for history, learning about what has happened in the past to be able to understand what's happening now and try and understand what could happen in the future. So history is a great subject. I think political science is okay as well. And I think what's great about those is that it's the study of human nature and how that is translated into the world events that we see happening before us today. Sometimes what's happening today is a repetition of what's happened in the past. So those are great subjects to study. But I think that in addition to that, it's also important for people to really enjoy what they're studying. So if history or political science is your thing, do it fully, be committed to it, enjoy it. But if you enjoy something else, you can still do that and also learn about political science and history at the same time. At the end of the day, everything in life involves politics. So just because you're not interested in politics doesn't mean politics won't be interested in you, and it'll impact your life in some way. So I think it's important for everyone, regardless of what their major is, to understand how government works, why it doesn't work, and to do things that can make it work better for everyone. So what I really enjoy about the US Armenians platform, and I have to be honest, I follow it mostly on Instagram, is that within a few minutes every day, I can see what's happening in Armenia, I can see what's happening here in regards to Armenian issues, but what's really interesting and what I enjoy about it is it tells me what's happening in Los Angeles or in the United States that's not related to Armenian news. It's just world news or local news. And I think that's important because as Armenian Americans, we need to know what's happening in Armenia. We need to know what's happening in Armenian circles here in the diaspora, but we also should know what's happening in the communities that we live in. So I think that's one of the benefits of the US Armenians page. I really enjoy it. I think it's exciting to see what they come up with next, because every time I'll learn about a new product or a new vendor or a new store or a new Armenian doing something exciting, in addition to all of the useful information that I receive about local, regional, and Armenian news. Ուտելիքի տեսակետից, I love sabas. Sabas is one of my favorite foods. Ոսպի ապուր, շատ եմ սիրում. Շատ տեղեր կան Glendale-ում, որ ես սիրում եմ գնալ տարբեր բաների համար։ Ամեն մի ռեստորանտը իր հատուկ բան ունի, whatever they do really well. So ես սիրում եմ ապուր, սիրում եմ հարիսա լավ տեղ դեր չգիտեմ որտեղ կա Glendale-ում, որտեղ չգիտեմ նույնիսկ եթե ուզենաս հարիսա որ ճաշարանը կաս գնաս, բայց քեբաբ ունենք, ամեն տեղ քեբաբ պատրաստում է խորովածը, բայց այդ հատուկ ճաշերը, որ մենակ տան մեջ, օրինակ տոլմա որտեղ գնաս, հատուկ տեղեր պետք ունենք, օրինակ ամենալավ ճաշարանը Glendale-ում, ամենալավ հայկական ճաշը որևէ հայ ընտանիքի օջախ ու տունն է, որտեղ մայրն է սարքում միան ձեռքերով ճաշը, դա 100% փաստա։ I think Glendale has a lot to offer to everyone. There's something to do here and something for people to see, no matter who you are and what your interests are. So I encourage everyone to get out, explore, go into a new shop, say hello to someone, talk to the person in front of you in line at the store, but get to know each other, really come together. One of the things I want to encourage folks to do is, we live in an era where there's so much information out there. Everything is at our fingertips. You can go on Google and search for something, but we don't just need information, we need knowledge. We need to be able to figure out how to use that information, what is useful and what isn't. And so for that, I can't think of better sources of information than the US Armenians. There's a lot of other Armenian news outlets, but this is one of the ones I like to use along with a few others. So please get out there and be informed. Find ways to get new information, share it with friends, spread knowledge, not just information.